Good evening. Welcome to our online information session, What's Next, hosted by Michael Mason and Nancy DiUlio. I'm Jeff Wolkowitz, Dean of Undergraduate Studies, and I'll be collecting your questions via email to be answered live during this session. If you have a question for our hosts, please send it to summerreghelp@case.edu with the subject line Info Session. You can send your questions at any time during our broadcast. Now to our hosts, Dean Mason and Dean DiUlio.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is our final online information session for the summer, which is kind of hard to believe. In just about a month, you guys will be showing up here on campus for orientation, and about a week after that, we'll get started with classes. So a lot of really fun and exciting things on the horizon. And so our goal here tonight is just to kind of talk through some of those things with you, give you some glimpses into what's coming up, and share with you some of our thoughts and perspectives on, what you can expect to see. Again, I'm Michael Mason. I'm the Assistant Dean for First Year Students in the Office of Undergraduate Studies. We'll be getting to know each other pretty well throughout this upcoming year, along with the coordinators of your residential colleges. And then with me is Dean DiUlio here, our Senior Associate Dean in the office. And for those of you taking Bio 214 in the fall, also your future instructor. So we'll go through some important dates here, and then we'll take some time to go through some other topics of interest and definitely take lots of your questions. I'm sure a lot of you are thinking about what's coming up and you have lots of questions, so start sending those in now so we can have plenty of things to talk about. Date-wise, right now we're in the process of reviewing your schedules, so you've all completed your registrations. We are looking at your schedules. We're reaching out to those of you who we have questions for regarding your schedules. Once we get through with that, we will pass your information along to the SAGE's office so that they can reach out to you and direct you back to the checklist to select your SAGE's first seminar. So that'll happen in early August. And remember, your SAGE's first seminar you'll select from a list of courses that are happening around times that are convenient with the existing schedule that you have. Again, like I said, about a month from now, International Welcome Days will begin. So international students will begin arriving on campus and participating in some activities, gearing up for new student orientation, which starts on the 17th of August. During orientation week on that Tuesday, you'll sit down and meet with your SAGE's instructor, who's also your first year advisor, as a group over lunch on the 19th. And then during the 20th, 21st, and 22nd, that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you'll actually have an opportunity to sit down one-on-one with your advisor, review your schedule, address any last-minute questions, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm going to let Dean DiUlio here talk with you a little bit about the SAGE's first seminar.
So right now, as Michael mentioned, the deans in our office are reviewing your schedules and checking them out. And I have to say it's going well. Lots of people have registered for good stuff, so things are looking good. Once we complete that schedule review, the SAGE's office will be following up and contacting you with a list of first seminar courses that will fit in with the courses you've already registered for. Don't worry, that list is going to be big. You're going to have lots and lots of choices. So you're going to get an email from the SAGE's office directing you to choose from a list of first seminars that fit your schedule. You're going to access this through the checklist. Make sure that you read the descriptions of those first seminars carefully and choose based on interest in the topic. There are first seminar topics on everything from light to the impact of the automobile to building cities, to understanding media portrayal of scientists in the Big Bang Theory. So lots of interesting things to look at. So this is an opportunity for you to explore and challenge yourself on some new and interesting topics. Your first seminar instructor will be your first year advisor. So you're going to be working with that person until the time that you declare your major. And so it's going to be really great when you get to meet with them during orientation and have your first one-on-one meeting with them during that interview time. Once that happens, then you'll be able to log back into SIS and make any schedule changes that you might want to make, and we're going to discuss that further in a little bit. But first I want to point out, when you look at your schedule, well, I'm going to jump ahead. When you look at your schedule right now in SIS, what you're going to see are your class meeting times, those that you've chosen, but listed there as well as that FSCC 850 course, which is a placeholder for what's called the SAGES 4th hour. So what is the 4th hour and what is that all about? So the SAGES 4th hour is part of the first seminar, and it's an opportunity for you to explore various activities, take some trips to the museums. They're usually outside of the classroom. Do some other things with your first seminar group and your first seminar instructors, sometimes merging with other seminar groups and so on, so that you're going to not only explore the topic your first seminar is about, and be picking up all those skills in writing and reading and presentation, but also get to know some of the institutions in University Circle and beyond that are going to have materials that impact upon the topic that your first seminar is covering. So right now, that 4th hour is sitting there in your schedule showing that you have a class on Monday from 12:30 to 1:45 and Wednesday from 12:30 to 1:45. It turns out that once you get registered for your first seminar, you're only going to have a 4th hour meeting on one of those days. So either Monday at 12:30 to 1:45, you'll meet with your first seminar group, or on Wednesdays at 12:30 to 1:45. So that time block will be removed once your first seminar choice is made, and you get that there. So what does this look like on your schedule? If you take a look at this slide, you can see the FSCC 850 there, with Monday, Wednesday, 12:30 to 1:45. But once you get your first seminar scheduled, that's not going to be in place any longer, and we're going to take that off. You see it is showing that this is worth 4 credit hours, because your first seminar course is going to allow you to earn 4 credit hours towards your degree. All right.
So now I want to talk a little bit about permissions and closed course requests. And some of you went through the scheduling process and you attempted to enroll all the classes that you needed for the fall, and you may have found that a course was full, or there was a course that you needed special permission for that you didn't realize ahead of time, and now you need to request that permission. The good news is actually very few students had to go through this process. So I think we, as an office, did a really nice job of predicting the enrollments that we would need in certain courses, and so we were able to preemptively create enough spots for most of the classes. There were a few exceptions, obviously, as that happens, but just so you know, we are going through those requests right now, so we're reviewing those, and we're working with departments, and we're trying to find open spaces, and we're going to be communicating with all of you who submitted requests. So expect to be hearing from us, if not, by early next week, or at the latest by the end of next week, but hopefully much sooner than that. And we'll let you know what the outcome of that is. But again, we've made our pledge to students that we will do whatever we need to do to get you into the courses that you absolutely need for your intended major, and we'll definitely be following through on that commitment. And in other areas where it maybe is with an elective course, or a preferred time or something like that, we can't always guarantee that, but we'll definitely do our best. But in either case, we'll be in touch with you and let you know what the outcome of that is. If you have questions, of course, in the meantime, feel free to contact us at summeredgehelp@case.edu, and we can kind of provide you with an update. Otherwise, we'll be in touch with you as soon as we have more to share. So again, as I mentioned with the important dates, we are currently going through the process of reviewing your schedules. If there are concerns about your schedules, we will reach out to you, most likely by phone, with the cell phone number you provided to us. But if not, if we can't reach you by phone, we'll send you an email. But for those of you who we don't have concerns about, we won't necessarily reach out to you. We will, however, update on the new student checklist once your schedule has been approved. So you can go to the first year registration item on the checklist just to get an update, and on there you will actually see, once your schedule is approved, it'll say your schedule's been approved. So here's a screenshot of what it looks like in the academic advising and registration part of your checklist. You can see in this particular example, it says that the student has indicated that they completed the registration, and the status will be updated by undergraduate studies. And this is a screenshot that shows that, for example, if a student, if this is you, be in touch with us right away. But for somebody who hasn't completed the registration process, it'll say you need to contact undergraduate studies as soon as possible. So if you're viewing this session tonight and you haven't registered for classes yet, please be in touch with us right away, summeredgehelp at case.edu, so we can get you on the path to getting registered for fall classes. Now, for those of you who are thinking about the possibility of having to make changes to your schedule at some point, understand that because the registration process is closed right now, we're not going to be working through any more requests to make changes to the schedule, unless, of course, we have a you have a change that needs to be made that's kind of a large-scale change. So if you registered as a biomedical engineering student, but then you've in the past couple of days realized all of a sudden that you want to be a nursing major, by all means, let us know that right away so we can make changes to your schedule. Some of those kind of larger scale changes we want to take care of now rather than later. But if it's an instance of, you wanted to maybe try for a different time of a lab or recitation, or you wanted to drop one elective course in favor of another, or some of those kind of smaller, more minor changes, those we're going to hold off on until the drop add period, which actually will begin for you all on August 20th. So that Wednesday of orientation, once you start meeting with your advisor, you can start making changes to your schedule on SIS as you wish. And the drop add period runs through Friday, September 5th, which is the second Friday of the semester. So in any given semester, it's always going to be the second Friday would be the last day for you to freely add and drop courses. After that second Friday, you can always withdraw from a course if needed, but you're not able to enroll in any more courses at that point. And as a matter of advising, I would say to you that if you have the notion to add a course, you definitely want to do that as early on in the semester as possible, as early or as close to the start of classes as possible, because usually, what you'll find in your classes is they really dive into the content and the material pretty much right away. So the longer you wait to add a course, the more work you'll have to catch up on. So if you have any thoughts about changing your schedule, talk them over with your advisor during orientation week, and then as soon as you made a decision about that, go ahead and get on SIS and make that change during the drop add period as early as possible so you can get started on attending that new class.
So some of you have had some experience in some of these topics in chemistry, math, physics, and computer science, but that experience hasn't mapped on to something on a transcript or an AP score or an IB score that gives you credit for that work that you've already done. So this is your opportunity to sit down and take a proficiency exam and earn credit for those courses. Those proficiency exams are going to happen during new student orientation. So check the student orientation guide for the dates and times and locations and all of that for those things. But what's really important is if you're interested in taking the math proficiency exam, you need to register for that on the checklist prior to August 1st. Now, in addition to taking a proficiency exam to earn course credit, you also have the opportunity to retake the math diagnostic if you would like. So everyone's required to take the math diagnostic, and you guys have done a pretty good job in everybody taking that exam. But if you're in a situation where you would like to retake that exam, once again, you can do that during new student orientation, but you need to register to do that by going to the new student checklist. So if we just take a quick look at the checklist here, what you can see is in the section Diagnostic and Placement Exams, under the Math Diagnostic, if you have an interest in taking any of the math proficiency exams or to retake the Math Diagnostic exam, you need to go to this section of the checklist, check the appropriate box, and do that prior to August 1st so that we're going to be ready for you when you get on campus to take the proficiency or math diagnostic exam that you're interested in. If you do not wish to take any math proficiency, you do not want to retake the math diagnostic exam, that's all cool too. You don't have to do anything in this section of the checklist if you're not going to take any of those exams. If you are thinking about your courses, as Dean Mason's already mentioned, and you have some concerns, or you've looked at your courses, and as we get closer to the start of the semester, you think you might like to make some changes in your electives and so on, definitely take the opportunity when you meet with your advisor during that orientation week to talk over your thoughts and concerns and ideas of changes that you might want to make. Your first year advisor is going to be a great resource. The first year advisors are all very well trained in first year courses and requirements and so on. And so they're going to be a great person to talk to if you have any ideas about things you might want to change. And in addition, undergraduate studies, in particular Dean Mason, will hold lots of walk-in hours during that week. So during that orientation week, you'll be able to show up in our office in undergrad studies during those walk-in times, sit down, meet with Dean Mason, and talk about any changes that you might like to make in your schedule. And potentially one of the other deans in the office as well. Once again, thinking about that time frame and your schedule and your courses, as Dean Mason mentioned, that first 2 weeks, that is the drop-add period. That's a time frame for you to get a little glimpse of what a course is going to be like over the course of the semester. So you want to use that time to be really strategic in making sure that the coursework you're enrolled in is a good fit for where you are coming into CASE as a new student. We want you to have a great first semester and build that strong foundation. So during that first 2 weeks, it's a great time to introduce yourself to your professors. All of you who have enrolled in Bio 214, I expect to meet with you during that first 2 weeks. Definitely after class, stop up and say hello and let me know who you are. Introduce yourself to all of your other professors as well. If you have concerns about a course, or you're not sure it's quite the right course for your interest or the right placement for you, definitely talk to the professor about those concerns and whatever they may entail. The person teaching the course is going to be in a great position to advise you if it's a fit for what you're looking for, and it's a fit for the right place for you to get started in your academic work. Also, during that first 2 weeks of the class, you're going to get from all of your professors a course syllabus. And that course syllabus, some of them are short, some of them are long. That's really going to describe what happens over the rest of the semester. It's going to have a description of the course. It's going to list what textbooks and any other materials you might need. It's going to have all the dates of assignments that are due, dates of exams, and so on, and even the dates of your final exam. So when you get that syllabus in those first 2 weeks, definitely review it. Look over the syllabi for all of the courses you're enrolled in and see how things are going to map out in terms of when are going to be periods of exams and homeworks and all of that sort of thing. Use all this information to evaluate and make sure you're in the courses that are going to fit with your academic goals, and that you're in courses that are the right place for you to get started at CASE. And then finally, I just want to make a couple notes about phys ed courses. It's recommended for first-year students to take a phys ed course in your first semester, but it's definitely not required. It's okay if you could not register for a phys ed course. Phys ed is a graduation requirement. Any of you that are going to be participating in varsity sports, there are phys ed courses associated with each of those varsity sports, so make sure that you register for that varsity sport. If you really want to get a phys ed course in this fall, check on the schedule of classes once in a while during that 2-week drop-add period. Students are changing their schedules. They might be dropping out of phys ed to add something else, so slots could open up. However, if a slot opens up in a phys ed course, but it's at a time that overlaps with a course that's really important for your major, or really important as an elective or a breadth requirement, don't prioritize that phys ed course over your academic coursework. Keep your academic courses. Remember, you can get those phys ed courses in later semesters if necessary. Finally, if you're looking at phys ed courses, you might even take a look at the beginning of October, because there are phys ed courses that are second half courses that start right around the time of fall break, so right around October 20th. Actually, they start on exactly October 20th. So there might be the opportunity to add a phys ed course to your schedule even in October. That would be a phys ed course that would meet from October 20th through the end of the semester and give you half a semester of phys ed credit. So keep checking back and taking a look at all of those sorts of things.
Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about textbooks. I know some of you are already thinking about that now that you've actually got your classes. So there's a couple different ways you can go about doing this. If you look in the new student checklist, there is going to be a textbook ordering section on there where you can click and link to the university bookstore's website. You can also link to the university bookstore's website through SIS. So if you're looking at your schedule in SIS, there should be a hyperlink for you to click on that will allow you to actually port over to the bookstore's website, and it'll preload the courses that you're in for the fall into the bookstore's textbook search, and then it'll kind of generate a list of textbooks that you'll need. So one of the things to be aware of when you're looking at the textbook website, when you're looking at the bookstore's website, is that sometimes there's going to be multiple different formats of the same textbook. You might have, for the same course, the same textbook that shows up as a new book, as a used book, as a ebook, as a book rental. So don't get confused by the fact that the same book is listed in 4 different formats. You only need one version of the book. You don't have to have it in hard copy. If you'd like to have it as the ebook, you're certainly welcome to do that. You don't have to have both. You can just choose one or the other, whatever is more convenient for you. Sometimes there's also a listing for required books and then for recommended books. Typically, with the required books, I mean, you are going to need those books for the class. So those are books you definitely want to get. The recommended books, if you're not quite sure yet, before you actually go and order those, if you're want to get more clarification, you can always reach out to the instructor and ask, or you can wait till the class begins, and once you get the syllabus and have an opportunity to talk to the instructor, you can find out more about what role those recommended texts play in the course, or ask any kind of clarifying questions you might want to ask before you actually go out and order those. But certainly for all the required books, it's really important that you have all of those books for the beginning of the academic year. So by the first day of class, it's really, if at all possible, you really want to have those books. If you look in the first year registration guide, there's a couple pages dedicated to giving you more information about textbook ordering. So definitely spend some time and look that over if you haven't done so yet. There's also a program that was new to CWRU last year that is continuing throughout this academic year. It's called Bookstore Bucks. And that's an opportunity for you to charge the cost of books from the CWRU bookstore to your student account. So you can actually do that up to $600, I believe, is the total that you can charge per semester. So the details for how that program works is also, those are also listed in the first year registration guide in the textbook section. So if you're interested in learning more about that, definitely take a look. There's also the Common Reading program. You should have gotten your copy of Zubiquity in the mail already. And Zubiquity is our common reading, so every first-year student is going to be asked and expected to have read this book over the summer prior to coming on campus. And the goal for this, I mean, there's lots of different reasons why we have a common reading. And I think one of the biggest reasons is that it's a really great way to, as we start the academic year, have an opportunity to engage in some discussions and kind of bond over this kind of intellectual activity of discussing some of the topics that are within the common reading. So you'll find that there's going to be some common reading sessions that happen during new student orientation. You'll be asked to participate in some of those. So again, having read the book and maybe even ahead of time kind of generating some questions on your own or some things that you'd like to discuss can be really helpful when you come to campus. It's a great conversation starter as you're getting to know your classmates. You can talk about, amongst other things like where are you from, what are your hobbies, what do you think about that chapter in Zubiquity that talked about, rhinos getting colds? Is that why they call it a rhinovirus? I don't know. I'm just making this up. I'm sorry. I haven't read the book yet. I will, though, and I might be participating in some of the discussions as well. So the other thing that's kind of cool is the author of the common reading is going to be participating in our convocation as the keynote speaker. So not only will you be able to talk about the book with each other, but you'll also be able to hear from the author of the book when she comes to speak during our convocations ceremony. So that'll be pretty cool too. And let Dean DiIulio wrap up with some information about orientation before we start taking your questions. So.
All right. So as we've been discussing, new student orientation's coming up. You should be able to see the schedule of events if you head to the new student orientation link that's shown on the screen right now. And when you get to that link, you can download the schedule to your mobile device so that as you're roaming around campus during new student orientation, you're going to have access to your schedule right there at your fingertips, so you always know where you need to be and what event is coming up next. New student orientation is really designed to provide lots of opportunities for you to meet your fellow students, faculty, staff members, get acquainted with the campus, and find out, about all kinds of opportunities available at Case Western Reserve University. So we're really looking forward to meeting you at new student orientation. One of the things I would say, though, is I'm not sure that the rhinoplasty is named after the rhinoceros, but when you get to new student orientation, track us down.
Well, you're the biologist.
That's right,
so
and we'll talk about zoobiquity a little bit more.
Than I would,
yes, and see if that's where that all comes from. But anyway,
you can tell me.
Yes, exactly. New student orientation we're really excited about it, as you can see, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's really going to help you get a really great start, get familiar with the campus, and get ready for courses to start, which comes up right after new student orientation. So I think at this point in time, we are ready to take your questions, and we'll go from there.
Great. Thank you for all of that information. I, too, am looking forward to learning about rhinoplasties and rhinoceros. Our first question tonight is from Monica. And Monica wants to know whether there are a lot of different kinds of SAGES classes.
There are. There's a wide variety of SAGES classes. And in fact, if you're interested in kind of just previewing and seeing what's out there, when you go to the schedule of classes in SIS, you can search under the different categories. So there's FSSO, which is for seminar about the social world, FSSY, about the symbolic world, and FSNA, which is about the natural world. Within each of those course headings, those categories, you'll see a list of different first seminars that fall under them. And if you click on the hyperlinks next to the course numbers, you'll actually be able to read a course description. So again, like Dean DiIulio mentioned, there's all different kinds of topics. A lot of them are really unique, things that you probably wouldn't even have thought are being taught as college courses, but all of the topics are really interesting. And what you're hopefully going to find is that when you look at that list of first seminars that are available to you, you're definitely going to be, trying to narrow it down between, a handful of ones that really stick out to you as courses that you'd really like to take in the fall. And the fun thing about it is you can be assured that everyone else who's going to be in your class is also going to be really interested in that topic, so it's going to make for some really lively discussion and activity in your SAGES First Seminar that fall.
Great, thank you. And the next question is from Jason. And Jason wants to know whether he has to buy his textbooks from the bookstore or can he buy them somewhere else?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that it's up to you to decide how you want to purchase them, but if you go through the new student checklist and work with the bookstore, you can be assured that you're going to have your books ready to go at the beginning of the semester. There are certainly lots of other places to shop for books, and so as you look and see what textbooks you need, the required ones or the recommended ones, if you find them available another place, that's fine. But I would say if you're going to find them available another place, make sure that the shipping date to you is not October 30th, because that's not going to be so helpful. You really want to do your best to have your books in hand at the beginning of the semester. Your courses are going to get started off pretty quickly. A 15-week semester sounds like a long time, but it goes by pretty fast. And so your faculty are going to have expectations of you doing reading assignments and homework assignments pretty much right from the first day of classes. So you want to get those in hand as quickly as you can.
The other thing I'll say about the bookstore too, one of the convenient things is that if you for some reason had to return a book, It's real easy to do that at the university's bookstore since it's right near the north residential area where you'll be living. But if you do choose to go with another vendor, make sure you understand what their return policy is too, just in case you do have to return the book for some reason, say you change classes or something like that.
Thanks. The next question is from Kashani, and the question is, what should I do if I need to make a schedule change? The form that was on the new student checklist is no longer there.
That's right. So the form that was on the checklist, the schedule change request form, did shut down as soon as registration ended. So again, if there's a change, and that the reason for that form was really to kind of help you address any scheduling concerns that were arising during the registration process. So again, a course that filled up, or a course that required special permission that you didn't have at the time but needed, and that allowed us to know what we were working with and who to work with and what kind of requests we needed to look at. If it's at the point now where you need to make a change to your schedule, and that schedule change is just something minor, again, like if you want to, tweak the time of your recitation section for a particular course, or if you want to drop one elective course in favor of another, that's the sort of thing that we'll want you to wait until the drop add period opens up on August 20th to address. But again, if it's a situation where you need to make a change to your schedule that is going to be kind of a larger scale change, or it's you've decided to make a change in your attended major and so you need to change several courses, you can let us know that by emailing us at summeredgehelp@case.edu, and we'll work through that process with you. But at this point in time, we're really just kind of taking those on a case-by-case basis, because what we need to do right now is get your schedules reviewed and approved so we can start the process of selecting SAGE's first seminars.
Okay, we have a similar kind of question from Kendra, and Kendra wants to know, if I did something wrong on my schedule, how will I know?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Kendra. And so the first thing I'll say is that as we've started reviewing schedules, things are looking good. Most of you have done some really good things and made some good course selections. As we review schedules, we're looking at your academic interest and any placement information and all of that sort of thing, and making sure the courses you've selected are going to get you off on a solid path in that direction. So during our schedule review, if we see something that doesn't quite match up with your intended academic interest, or something that looks like we're not exactly sure why you may have chosen that course, or maybe a course that we think is not going to take you in the right direction for your intended academic interest, we'll be following up with you. We'll be following up with students next week by phone calls. If we can't reach you by phone, we'll be sending you an email. So keep track of your emails and so on, so we can have a conversation about your schedule and see if we need to make any adjustments. So at this point in time, just check back on the checklist once in a while, and once you see that your schedule's approved there, you'll know that you didn't make any mistakes. And if there is something we're concerned about, you'll hear from us so we can chat about it and come to a conclusion about what's the best course for you to take at this point in time.
Great, thank you. The next question is from Carlos, and Carlos wants to know when he can start scheduling meetings with the pre-med advisor.
Well, I think that once you get on campus for the first week, you're going to be kind of pretty busy with the, orientation required programs and some of the optional sessions. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Mr. Scherger, who's our pre-health advisor, will be hosting a kind of pre-health or pre-med overview session during that orientation week. So as you're looking at the schedule of orientation events, look for that particular section, and if you are interested in anything pre-health or pre-med related, try to find the time in your schedule to attend that session. And once you're at that session, I'm sure he'll give you all the information you need about how to set up a meeting with him. But if you can't make it to that session for some reason, I think the best way to go about it in general would be to contact our office, the Office of Undergraduate Studies. And they can either direct you to his walk-in hours, which you can also view on our website. We do have a walk-in calendar that gets updated every week that includes Mr. Scherger's walk-in hours as well as mine, your residential coordinator for your residential college, other deans in our office, so you can check those on a weekly basis. And for walk-ins, you can literally just walk in and sign in and sit down and talk with someone. Generally about a 5-10 minute quick question and answer kind of session. If you wanted to set up a more, a longer meeting, say a 30-minute meeting with me or with your coordinator, or with any other deans or Mr. Sugar, for example, you just want to call or stop by the office, and one of our department assistants at the front desk will be able to help you do that. As far as when to do that, I think in general, unless it's a question that's going to affect something that has to do with, your first semester schedule, usually you can wait until things kind of get underway, maybe the third week of the semester or beyond, to do some of those, longer meetings, 30-minute or so meetings with Mr. Sugar or any of the pre-professional advisors like Dr. Mester, who's our pre-law advisor.
Great, thank you for that. The next question is from Ella. And Ella asks, if I take a SAGES seminar that's not about my major, will my advisor know the right things to tell me?
Yeah, that's a really great question, Ella. So I think one of the important things to keep in mind is that your first seminar instructor is your first-year advisor, but all of the first seminar instructors in their role as first-year advisor go through training so that they meet with Dean Mason and others from the various offices around the university during the summer in preparation for the fall semester, so that they are prepared to be a generalist advisor and help you navigate through that first semester, and also help you navigate through choosing courses into your spring semester potentially. One of the things that all of those first-year advisors are prepared to do is, if you have really specific questions about an academic discipline or a major that might go beyond where they are, they're going to put you in touch with the person who can help you answer those questions. But they are fully prepared, fully trained, and ready to help you out in terms of your course selection and your academic progress over the course of this first year.
Great. The next question is from Howard, and Howard wants to know, is there a limit on how many minors I can get?
Well, that's a good question, Howard. There's really no limit. I think the only thing you're really limited by is, how much can you fit into your schedule and what's your kind of time frame. But keep in mind, first of all, the university doesn't require that any student have a minor to begin with. So minors are really optional for you. But if you wanted to, choose a major and a minor, or a major and 2 minors, you're definitely allowed to do that. If you wanted to choose 3 minors, you're certainly welcome to do that as well. Usually a minor is going to consist of about 15 to 18 hours of coursework. And so that's about 5 to 6 classes generally, depending on which minors we're talking about. So if you think about it in the context of the requirements for your major, all the other general education requirements you have for your degree, and any other kind of coursework you plan on taking, you really just have to think about whether or not it's going to be practical for you to fit it in, those multiple minors, that is, with your major, and also to complete everything within the time frame that you want. So there's a lot of different things to consider. You can start reviewing that with your advisor once you get here on campus. You can start reviewing those options with the representatives from the different departments in which you're considering the minor, and start to think through whether or not that makes sense for you. But ultimately, there is no limit to the number of minors you have, and we do have some students who choose to do more than 1 minor. That's not uncommon.
Thank you. The next question is from Rahul. Rahul writes, I wanted to register for a course that's closed. Will more spots open up, or am I out of luck?
I don't think you're out of luck, Rahul. I think, in general, we can expect that during the drop add period, as Dean DiIulio mentioned earlier, there's going to be some movement amongst the classes and students' schedules. So if something's not open right now, it's very possible that students may drop out during that drop add period, and you can definitely go in SIS and pick up one of those spots. Again, if it's a situation where there's a course that you absolutely need for your intended major and you weren't able to get it during the registration period, and you didn't notify us via the schedule change request, and you've just now realized that you really needed that course, email us at Summer Edge Help so we can help you out with that. But otherwise, if it's just an elective course or you just want a different time for something like that, I'd say, you know, just be patient. Check SIS around the beginning of the semester, and odds are, you know, a space may open up, and if it does, you're definitely free to grab that.
Great. Next question that I have is from Ethan. And Ethan says, I'm taking 19 credits this semester to fulfill credits for 2 majors. In future semesters, can I take more than that?
Wow, that's a great question, Ethan. 19 credit hours is a pretty heavy course load, so you're going to be kind of busy this fall semester. Mm-hmm. You know, when we look at a course load that helps students get off on a solid footing, we usually recommend from 14 to 17. We understand that there might be some circumstances that are contributing to being enrolled in 19 credit hours, and that's fine, but that's going to be enough work to keep you quite busy. It is possible to ask for more than 19 credit hours in future semesters. It's not possible for this first semester because we want you to get off to a really good start. But I think before going down that path, it's important to remember that a lot of the things that you learn and are going to be critical for you developing your academic and career interest and exploring the professional world are going to be things that happen outside of class. There are lots of extracurricular and co-curricular activities that engaging in those is going to give you a deeper understanding and a much more enriching and fulfilling experience as a university student at Case. So when you're thinking about your course load, don't forget you need some time to do some other things. We have lots of student groups and activities, many of them arranged around academic interest, that are going to be things that you're going to want to be able to allow time in your schedule for you to explore. Also, you need some time to do some things that are away from sort of the work in the academic world. We all need a little bit of good life balance, so we don't want you to take so many credit hours that you don't get any sleep. Sleep is key. You need time to sleep, eat, and take care of yourself in addition to doing your coursework.
Great. The next question was typed into the website, and this comes from Michael. And Michael wants to know, should I be worried that I haven't received any information about my roommate or my room assignment yet?
No, Michael, you don't have to worry about that. I think that definitely is forthcoming. I'm not sure of the exact timeline of when that information is going to be released. But certainly, I would say at this point to just be patient. I know that we're working through the process. I believe the Residence Life and Services Office is working through the process right now of getting everybody situated as far as room assignments and roommate assignments and things like that. But if you have questions or concerns, certainly you're free to contact the Residence Life and Services Office. You can always email housing@case.edu, and someone from that office should be able to get back to you if you have any specific questions that you'd like to have addressed.
Okay, and another question that was typed in is, do engineering students need a specific calculator?
Oh, that's a really good question.
That's a very good question.
Yeah. You know, I don't know the answer to that, but I think that that's one of those things that you could contact your instructors. So you have your course schedule now, and you have your instructors for your first semester classes. So you can look up their emails and send them an email and ask them if there's a particular calculator that would be helpful. There are, of course, some courses where you can use a calculator that's going to be programmable, a graphing calculator and so on. So your TI-85s and up are going to be useful for you. There are going to be some courses you run into, however, that the type of calculator that you're going to use and you're going to be allowed to use during your exams is going to be a really simple 4-function calculator. Plus, minus, division, and multiplication. They're a little tiny thing. They're like, you know, really cheap, less than $10. So sometimes it's good to bring one of those along with you as well.
Probably something that wouldn't be spelled out in the syllabus as to like
what you can use. But again, if you're curious right now, you could always, you know, contact the instructor.
Okay, great. This will be our last question this evening. And this question is from Marcus. And Marcus writes that, I heard you can't declare a major for a while. When will I be able to declare my major, and how do I go about doing that?
It's a good question, Marcus. So it is true that once when you first arrive on our campus, you won't be declared in a major. But you will be able to declare that major in the first semester if you'd like to do that. So usually our date for declaring a major is November 1st. This year, November 1st happens to fall on a Saturday. So the official declare date for this year will be November 3rd. It'll be that Monday, that first Monday in November. And the way that you would declare your major is there's kind of a multi-step process that goes along with that. There are forms, major declaration forms that you can get from us in the Office of Undergraduate Studies. Also, the coordinator of your residential college, who is also part of the undergraduate studies staff, will have those forms in his or her office as well. So you can get one of those forms from him or her. Once you're ready to declare your major, you would take one of those forms and meet with the academic representative of the department in which you want to declare that major. You can find the list of academic representatives in the first year registration guide. We also keep a direct link to that list on our website. So if you go to the first year students page on the undergraduate studies website, that's case.edu/UG-studies. You can find a direct link to a 3-page PDF that has all the academic rep lists on there. We also keep it in our office. But you would reach out to that person, arrange a meeting with him or her to discuss your interest in the major, have any questions that you have about the program answered, and then they would sign the declaration form for you, and also at that time they would assign you an academic advisor in that department. And once that's happened, you bring that form back to the Office of Undergraduate Studies, where we would formally process it and update everything in SIS. So you would show your new advisor and show that you're formally declared in that major. A couple things to keep in mind when it comes to declaring majors. First of all, you're allowed to declare in your first semester. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to or that you should. You have until the semester before you register for the fall of your third year, so essentially towards the end of your second year before you actually have to have a major declared. So you have a pretty big window there for doing some major exploration and searching around and really figuring out what you want to declare. But if you are ready to declare in that first semester, you're welcome to do so. If you're ready to declare at the end of your first year, that's great too, or even into your second year, that's fine as well. But once you declare, you will have that new faculty member in your department assigned to you as your advisor. But that does not mean that you would, terminate your relationship with your SAGES advisor. We expect that your first year advisor and your relationship is going to be pretty strong because you'll be spending a lot of time together during that first semester especially. But that's somebody that you could continue to go to and consult with over time. And there is actually a feature in SIS that'll be new this year that allows you to designate someone as a designated advisor, so another faculty or staff person at the university. So that could be your SAGES advisor too. You don't have to designate someone as a designated advisor, but if you'd like to continue a relationship with them or anybody else on campus who you feel is a good advisor to you, supplemental to your academic advisor in your department, that's an option for you as well. But as far as, again, going back to the main question, which I think was about declaring majors, you can do that in the first semester if you wish. You can wait if you want. There's no pressure to do so early. Just remember that major exploration is a process. It plays out differently for each individual person. There are lots of people here on campus who can help you with that process. You have your advisors, you have your deans in undergraduate studies, different offices like the Career Center, or other staff on campus in other offices like Greek Life or the LGBT Center or the CECL, the Center for Civic Engagement and Learning. Different staff who are available to kind of help with consulting and get you pointed in the right direction. But of course, the faculty who are the academic reps in the various departments are there for you to consult with as well. You can consult an academic rep at any time for any reason, regardless of how seriously or you're considering declaring a major, or even if you're just kind of testing the water. So use your resources and kind of use your first year advisor as kind of your hub, the person who you kind of continuously go back to as soon as you go out and seek information so you can process it with them and decide on next steps in that process.
Great. I want to thank both of you and thank everyone for participating in our information session this evening. If we didn't get to your question, you can expect a reply to your by email shortly. This concludes our online information session series for the summer. You can view session archives on the Undergraduate Studies website or link directly to them through the first year registration item on the new student checklist. Please be sure to email us at summerreghelp@case.edu with any questions that arise. And for now, have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Watch for your information from SAGES, and we look forward to seeing you on campus soon. We will learn more about a rhinoceros, perhaps. Good night.